Hello.
Hello.
We're back.
We're back.
Welcome to the weekend workout. My name is Ian.
I'm Lauren.
And this is a practice where we invite you to play with your strength. We have a chair off to the side, used as a balance aid, and as Lauren often does, little helicopters here, a little bit of space. So let's start with Lauren and a head neck and a nice light warm up. And we'll go forward to check in with your body, build some skills, and welcome back to the Bars and Bells weekend practice.
All right, let's get started. Feet. Before we get to that head neck, let's just talk about those feet. Open up all 10 toes, spreading them nice and wide. Right now you should feel your heels on the ground, maybe the lateral borders of your foot and the balls of your feet. Now try to place your baby toes down, and then your ring toes down, and then your middle toes down, and then your index toes down, and then your thumb toes down. Once those are down, try to keep gripping the floor, screwing in those ankles by squeezing your cheeks, light brace of the core, standing up tall, blades slightly retracted, palms rotate forward, and then we'll get up to that head neck. We'll start by putting a column through our body, which is also known as our spine, and we'll rotate one direction, rotating to look over your shoulder, and then using your muscles to control your head back to center and repeat on the other side. Chin stays the same height this whole time, like it's on a serving tray. Let's do that one more time each way. Rotation to center and rotation. Next, back at center, let's gently tuck our chin, really attractive double chins here. Continue making those double chins as you pull your chin towards your chest. And then try to keep the double chin as long as you can as you gently extend up towards the ceiling. Reaching towards the ceiling, and then as you come down again, the crown of the head goes high and the double chins come back. One last time, keep the chins as long as you can as you gently lift up, not cranking on the back of that neck, but just coming up. And then returning the head back onto tall. Last one here, nose is your pivot point, a light ear towards the shoulder, or lifting that jaw up towards the ceiling. Pull with your muscles your head back to center, and repeat the other side. Noticing as we do this that the neck stays relatively stationary and it's the head moving on top of our neck versus the other way. Last one. And then returning back to center. We'll do that quickly all at the rib cage. Step your feet a little bit wider. Do the same thing briefly. Spread out the toes, place them down. Arms across your chest, blades lightly retracted. Let's start with our rotation first. So with our head coming with us, our head and our upper body will rotate, but our hips will stay forward. And then use your abs to pull yourself back to center. Repeat the other way. Rotation with head and shoulders at the same time. Pull with abs back to center. Let's change that slightly. Your head is going to rotate first, and then your torso will follow. Hips stay stationary. Head will come back to center. Shoulders will return. Last time, head. Rib cage rotates, hips forward, head center, body center. Next, we did our
forward flexion extension.
We did flexion extension. So with our blades lightly retracted, we'll tuck a chin, and we're going to try to round through that upper back. Think about rounding through your upper back, but keeping your blades together. Next, keep your abs on tight, but extend through the upper back or send that heart chest towards the ceiling. One more time, candy cane-like up and over as you flex, but check in with your shoulder blades. And then keep your abs on tight as you lightly extend back up to tall. And then to center. And our last one here today is our side bend. So we'll lift up, that spring-like core, but keeping the shoulders down, and over to one side. Imagine you're between two panes of glass, shoulders stacked. Now rump yourself back up. Other side. Coil up. Side bend. Now use this long side to pull back to center. One last time. Little lift up. Light side bend. Flexion laterally. And then abs to pull you back. Last time the other way. Up and over, and then pull, returning back to center. From the head to the rib cage, give that a little bobble.
Some of our words might be a little rusty, but at least Lauren's sound effects are fully on point here. find that oomph, and then also find those opportunities to relax. From there, let's get those hands and arms and shoulders going. It's the shoulder blades first. So with the palms facing forward, comfortable stance for you. Continue to think about Lauren's cues for the feet. Low effort here. Elevate the shoulders, meaning a shrug up. Let gravity take over, and just very lightly try to touch the floor. From the armpit, reach down, anti-shrug muscles here. Repeating one more time, just a low effort shrug up, and then a low effort press down. Keep your hands in the same place, and now spread those shoulder blades apart. Make sure that we're not rounding the rib cage, and in fact, moving the blades around the rib cage. Then retract, meaning pinch a pencil between the shoulder blades, but wear that rib cage down, and squeeze them together one more percentage point. Then for one last time, low effort, easy does it, round the shoulders as to go forward, pull the shoulder blades together in retraction, and keep the shield, those abs, on and engaged. Add a little fun wiggle in between that. Now we'll get into the shoulder ball and socket joint. With the palms facing forward, palms facing forward, make fists, starting with the fingers. Then bend on the wrists to have the knuckles face forward. And low effort, of course, flex or bend the elbows. Which way are your knuckles pointing? Up to the ceiling, the way I hope mine are, or were they facing one another? If they were up, let's take those hands into the middle here with the knuckles facing one another, and as if grabbing a slack rope, pull the rope taut as you pull the pinkies apart from one another. Elevate the shoulders as a shrug, pull the shoulder blades down, and then flex the shoulder, meaning elbows go towards forward. From this position, we'll reach back with the fingertips. We'll extend the wrist like a push-ups wrist or a crawling wrist today, and then squeeze the shoulders together as the arms come forward. Easy does it, arms return. Now pinch the pencil between those blades and reach the hands behind, extending on the shoulder. We still have that push-up style wrist for a second longer, but make a fist with the fingers. Then bend on the wrist next, and biceps curl with low tension into this position here. Take a detour and move those knuckles to face one another. That's a more of a kettlebell hold, but right now we want those knuckles facing up. Elevate or shrug the shoulder one last time and then pull down. And then elbow tips go towards forward, heavy on those lats, those wings. And then fingertips to the back wall. Extend on the wrist next. Shoulder blades are squeezing together as we extend out front. And then finishing off this excavator arm series with the arms down low. Whew. And again, enjoy those octopus or jelly-like arms after that. Let's get to the floor, continuing that wrist warm up, and we'll get there using Lauren's toe cues here of grounding those feet. And then first, just pressing the knees over the toes. Crack. Making some sounds is okay, but making sure everything feels good all the time. Then push those hips through to stand tall. Let's just get a little toe balance in there today too. Squeezing your bum cheeks so much that you rise up onto those balls of feet, and then with patience, slowly letting those heels come back down. Then go knees over toes again, and this time just peel those heels up. And then from there, could we stand and reach another toe balance? And as always, the controlled effort to return to the ground. We'll get all the way to the floor this time as we go knees over toes. The heels gently peel up, that we can sit a little bit lower. And then with the hands, or without, place those knees down, extend those hips through, and to Lauren for a little bit of a wrist warm up here.
Oh, wrists, excellent. First, let's extend our arms out front of us. Nice straight hands, elbow pits, try to rotate them to face the ceiling. Then we'll press our blades forward or protract our shoulder blades. Then we'll retract them, lightly pinching that pencil. Are your elbow pits still facing the ceiling? We'll hinge on our hips, pushing our butt behind us. All 4 fingers will come down and connect that callus line to the floor. So that's that first knuckle line there connecting to the floor. Now just pause here. Are all 4 or 8 of those fingers fully touching? Are your shoulders out of your ears? And then are those elbow pits rotated forward? Next, slowly find the palm of your hands. Try to keep those elbows as straight as you can. Once we're here, checking with those shoulders, we're going to do some rotations. Our elbow pits are going to actively rotate backwards, and then we'll screw them in and rotate them forwards. This is actually happening at our shoulder joint here, but we've stopped our wrist from moving and we've stopped those shoulders from moving by keeping the blades nice and stationary. One last time, rotating the elbow pits backwards and then rotating them forward. Let's finish with them as forward as we possibly can. Really keep trying to screw that into the floor. Keep all 10 fingers heavy, pinkies, rings, middle, index, thumbs, callus line, palms. Then elbows as straight as possible. We're going to do our first knuckle push-ups for 3. Try not to bend the elbows. Both hands press to those 8 fingers again, and then control the down. Let's do that 2 more times. Try not to bop out of this, but control the up and control the down. And one last time, we'll end on the up, and then we'll flick the fingers away, shake that out. Ho, 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 ho.
Very rich, very rich.
Very
here.
rich. We'll rotate. This time we'll come down just briefly here. Again, we'll go all 8 fingers, elbows nice and straight, palms come down, shoulders come up into your ears, shoulders pull down. Now, all 10 fingers are heavy on the floor. We'll lightly sit back into that, but keep your palms pressing. Don't let that gap appear between your palm and the floor. Then use your fingers, send yourself forward. Add a light bend in the elbows as allowed. And can you sit into that elbow bend a little bit? And then next, we'll keep the elbow bend. We'll allow the palms to peel away from the floor and give that a little shake out. Do one thing, but then let me do one more wrist.
Do
Please.
one thing.
Please.
Okay. In a second, we'll be using that chair for a little bit of a hip and a balance aid here. But let's start in a little bit of a lunge position from the ground.
You read my mind.
Excellent. Is that the one you wanted to do?
A lunge. You go.
Okay. So from this position, take a single leg out in front. Imagine there are electrical fences out in front, or rather beside, to keep everything nice and straight. From this position,
I just got
get your balance first. Make sure that feels okay. I can't see. What kind of foot does Lauren have there?
Tucked.
Tucked under. Mine was pointed. Gently, go for yours. My foot point there is probably easier on your hip. That foot is probably easier on your foot. So choose. Be careful, but always use your discretion. Squeeze this back butt cheek, meaning hip extend. Pull the front leg in. You might feel that tip your tailbone like that cow position or an anterior tip. Hold for a couple seconds longer, and then just relax that effort away. Keeping the shoulders and those hips square, take a single leg out to the side, and let's just repeat that again. It's a butt cheek squeeze or hip extension on the kneeling leg, and a compression or a femur head pulling into the hip out to the side. While you're there, just take one quick look. Is your foot and knee going in the same direction with the kneecap tracking your index or middle toes? Great. And if not, think about that as we go forward. And then just bring the leg back to the front. Those electrical fences have been reinstalled here, and go to the tiptoe, bring it under, finish tall like it's easy, and then let's switch to the other side. There will be a weight shift, but bring that leg out front. Again, knee over the middle of the foot. Get your balance aid maybe out to the side if you need one too. A cramp or a bum cheek squeeze on the back leg. You might elicit a little quad stretch there, and then the compression or the pulling of the femur head in. Hold. Stay, but relax. Then heel toe out to the side, making sure that the foot and the knee are going in the same direction. And then from there, it's a butt cheek squeeze on the back leg and a compression or a pulling in action on the laterally facing leg. Breathe. Create some stress. Relax it a little bit. Bring the leg back to the front. Newly installed electrical fences out to the side, and draw a leg underneath, staying as tall as you can. I felt myself lean. Always ways to make that challenging.
Back to the wrist. One more wrist. This time, extend your arms full fists. Retract your shoulder blades like lightly pinching the pencil. Can you keep those elbow pits facing up towards the ceiling as we then hinge? Though they will change. They're not going to the ceiling now. But keep them nice and straight. Find those knuckles. Right now, I want you to be more on knuckle number 1 2, and maybe 3. But that pinky is likely off the floor just so we're not deviating into those wrists, but we have nice straight wrists. Shoulders out of your ears. Next, we're going to roll over the back of one hand. So slowly opening up one hand so the palm starts facing the ceiling. Try to connect your pinkies, your middle, your ring, your index, your thumb to the floor. Shoulder out of the ear. Can you again screw in that elbow pit to face it forward? Then push into the ground to press back up to that fist. Same thing second side. Roll over the back of the hand. Once there, all 5 fingers are on the floor. Shoulders out of your ear, elbow pits facing forward. Then push into the back of the hand to get back to that fist. One last time on the other side. Elbows staying as straight as possible, shoulders not moving. Rolling open the back of your hand. Breathe. That should be stretchy or feeling up the fuzzy side of your arm. And then push into the floor. And last time, over the back of that hand. Feel that lengthen out the forearm. And then use it. So push it back into the floor. Use the muscles to get back up. Push the floor away.
And add that shake and wiggle and sound effects because sometimes it's
They're
fun to do that
necessary.
too. So currently I have my toes pointed at the back. As allowed, tip your tailbone towards cow. Make sure that chair isn't in the way. And then, as a perhaps statement here, get your hips towards your heels. Put your hands on your bum cheeks and only squeeze one bum cheek. In this case, I'm squeezing my left. Then I'll do the same thing on the right. Can you fire those glutes independent of one another? And now as a team, squeeze your butt cheeks, extend those hips through. Now let's go back to the toes and tuck them under. Then I'll use my hands. Lauren's a pro, so she might not, but just get back towards your toe squat here. With the chest lifted high, let's try to stand up while being on those tippy toes, squeezing your bum cheeks, hollowing out, and then slowly returning the heels to the floor, and then a little bit of a resetting shake and wiggle. Lauren will grab her balance aid here and talk us through some gentle hip bars, and then we'll get back to the floor and explore some crawls.
I love a hip bar. So, with that introduction, let's take a balance aid because we will balance later. This is not about balance, this is about hip movement. So, light grip on your balance aid. We'll talk about moving your outside leg, which is the leg away from your balance aid. Standing tall on your inside leg, meaning hip extended, foot rooted in the floor, butt cheek squeezed. Nothing will change in our pelvis area as we point the outside leg to the front. Once out there, let's rotate the leg in the socket externally, meaning rotate your inseam towards the ceiling. Again, nothing changed in this hip area as we gently now try to internally rotate that femur or that leg and hide the inseam. Did you hike this hip or did it stay nice and level? Let's do it again. Externally rotate the leg, inseam to the ceiling. Keep your knee nice and straight. That should be plural, knees. And then slowly internally rotate on that femur. Again, not hiking the hip and avoid doing too much work with that ankle. Next, rotate it open one last time. Press your standing leg hip forward. And now we're going to draw a half quarter circle with that toe touching, bringing the leg to the side, but again, keeping everything stationary. Let's do it out here. Internally rotate the leg, hiding the inseam. Then from the butt cheek, externally rotate the leg, rolling it forward. These aren't huge movements. They should feel like a lot of work in the hip butt. Internally rotate one more time. That's a lie because we're going to do one more external rotation. And then we're going to finish on an internal rotation. We'll flex the foot, pulling the foot to the shin. And now bring those inseams together. Pull them underneath you. Stand tall on 2 feet. Squeeze your cheeks. Don't go anywhere. Take that same leg, reach it back out to the side. Internally rotate it a little bit, hide the inseam, then externally rotate it. Now keep it externally rotated, inseam up, draw the quarter circle to the front, inseam up, inseam up, inseam up, then unrotate it to neutral, so kneecap forward, straight leg, pull underneath, hips go forward, stand on 2 feet, hoo hoo. So there should be a lot of work in that standing leg, as well as some work in that moving leg. Did you feel it?
Oh, I felt it.
Good. Same thing, other side. So you're square to the front of your room or wherever you're square to, standing tall on our inside leg, pushing that hip forward, pointing the outside leg to the front. Without your bowl of punch hips moving here, externally rotate the inseam up towards the ceiling, and then internally rotate on that femur. One more time, externally rotate, breathe, feel the high cheeks, internally rotate, and now for real, the last time, never believe me when I say last time. From that high cheek, externally rotate, inseam up, still tall in your standing leg, send your leg to the side. Toes end up in about the same line, hips are square forward. Now, femur rolls in. Femur rolls open. One more time, femur rotates in. Femur rotates open. Knees are straight. Femur rotates in. Inseams pull together, your kneecap is forward, your foot is flexed. You shouldn't have to change anything because you stayed tall in the standing leg. One last quarter circle, reach long to the side. Let's roll in on the leg for one. Yeah. Then rotate open, inseam forward. Keep touching the floor, quarter circle, inseam up, inseam up, inseam up, inseam up. Then to the neutral leg, kneecap forward, pull the leg underneath, press the hips forward, squeeze the cheeks. And then
enjoy that shake and wiggle.
Shake it out.
Get that washing machine agitated up there. Shake it out. We'll get into our crawls here, but first check in with your shoulders, your arms, your wrists, all components of the body to be considered here. We'll start with our elephant crawl, which essentially is that moving downward dog movement. We want to focus on the tailbone being a gentle cow and working on that articulation and the strength through the shoulders. So let's start with a hip hinge. Our hip hinge will be pressing the hips back. We maintain our gentle cow-like tip in those hips and just hang out here for a second or two. Keep the knees vertical over those shins, but just try to lift up your bum a little bit higher. You might feel a gentle tug on those hamstrings. Then push the feet out, push the hips through to reset our tall repetition here. Let's repeat that again, but we'll transition to the floor. Push the feet out as you press your hips back, adding tension and stability. Then tip forward just a little bit, and then just place your knees on the floor for a second. Let's observe all of Lauren's cues for those wrists, which are wide open fingers, heavy fingertips, callus lines, and heels of those hands. And from this position, let's do our tailbone cow or an anterior tip of those hips. Next, push the floor forward through the hands and pull the knees into the hip sockets away from the floor. Now, keep the knees bent, but lift your hips to the ceiling. And for 5 seconds here, maintain that cow level tip of the hip. Breathe into that, and then lightly return the knees to the floor. And just take a second off. Let's repeat. We have our tailbone like a cow. We have our hands wide open. Push the hands forward. Pull the knees into the hip sockets. Is your tailbone like a cow as you aim to gently straighten the legs and hold. Now, let's move. Let's take a right hand and a left foot and take a gentle stride forward. Then left hand, right foot, working on that diagonal or crossbody pattern, and just keep going. As you are here, articulate through those hands, nice and strong. Be animalistic again in that hand, how it's flicking and absorbing through the floor. And then if you can put one more level of attention into your hips, are you maintaining that cow or anterior tip of the hip? One more time, and then just easy does it, return the knees to the floor. If room permits, go forward. If that was super hard, go forward. If you're willing for a different challenge here, let's walk backwards. So the tailbone tips. We lift the hips to the ceiling, and then press yourself backwards in that contralateral or opposing gait here, and small strides for the win here. They don't have to be big. The fingertips on one hand might land at the heel level on the other, and same with the feet. Toe just to about where the heel would land. Walk back to that hinging position with the feet wide, knees mostly vertical and hips back, and push the hips through. Finish nice and tall. Add a little shake and a wiggle. Emerge from those shadows here, a little dark scene this morning. Let's shake, let's wiggle, maybe grab a sip of coffee, And Lauren, when she comes back on the screen, we'll be doing our leg bar versions again.
Excellent.
So here we are with our chair. Get your balance aid. My hips are nervous and excited for what's about to happen.
So excited. All right, with our balance aid at the side, because again, it's not about the balance, let's this time work a little bit on some bent leg activities from here. So standing tall on your inside leg, hips pushing forward, light grip. Take your outside leg and let's slowly bend it. That means heel leaves the floor first, ball of foot and toes are still heavy. Hips have stayed level. Next, use your toes, flick the floor away, come to a low ankle position. My ankle, my foot that's up is touching my big ankle bone of my standing leg. Hip push forward. Take this knee and lightly try to cross the midline with it. We're trying to adduct that leg through center. Then, using your cheek but staying tall on your inside leg, pry the leg open, creating a number 4. Let's repeat that. Use your adductor, pull through center. You can even place your hand there and feel it as you bring it across. Try to cross the midline, but keep your hips square forward. And one more time, open it to the side. Now, let's pull it back. I should just stop saying one more time. Let's bring it back to center, knee crosses, or let's go midline right now. So knee forward. Could we lightly pull that leg up a little bit higher? Maybe now you find that knee. Same thing, these hips stayed level. Knee tries to cross the midline, and then it gently opens up, number 4. Now, as you're holding this number 4 position, this foot is connected, but it's not resting on this leg. We're actively holding it up here by using those hamstrings. One more time for realsy. Cross the body with the knee. Open up to the number 4. Hold it. Now here, let's test our balance. Could you let go? Stay tall in the standing leg. Keep that knee to the side, but the hips forward. Are you just touching, not resting for 3? 2, pull it through concrete, bringing it back to center. Now, here's the easiest but the trickiest part. Slide the leg down. You're going to reconnect your toes first, next to your other toes, then the ball of your foot. Now imagine there's a full pop can under your heel and you have to drive it into the ground in order to crush it, extending your hip forward, squeeze both your butt cheeks, and then gently relax. Whew. All right, same thing other side.
Standing figure 4s. Whew.
Standing figure 4s. All right, tally tall. Inside leg doesn't move. Kneecap goes forward, knee bends, toes stay on the floor for a second as the knee is forward. Then flick the floor away and find that low position. Foot is touching my malleolus of that standing ankle. Let's overcross that knee, trying to hug the midline or even cross. Then nothing moves in my standing leg, but my moving leg opens up to the number 4. Knee to the side. Now pull through concrete, feel that adductor, bring it back across. Again, stationary, feel that core engaged so that nothing moves but the leg in its socket. Open, and then cross the body. Now to center here, we'll slide the leg up. We didn't hike the hip up though, none of this. In the socket to lift, hold. Send the knee open, bigger number 4. Hold, not resting. Back to center. Cross the midline as best as you can. And one last time, open up. Hips are forward, hips are level. Test your balance here. Holding, not resting. Pull back to center. Slide down the inseam of your pants. Toes connect. Ball of foot. Hips are forward, crush your pop can, crush your pop can, crush it, crush it, crush it. Hips push forward, butt's on fire. Give that a little shake.
Little shake.
Little shake.
We worked on the elephant crawl or that moving downward dog. And this time let's get a little lower to the floor because just like the push-up, the lower you go to the floor, the harder it often becomes. So let's get to the floor this time though using our forward fold, which capitalizes on Lauren's rib cage roll from the start. The shoulder blades are squeezing, low effort chin tuck, and then it's that flexion or candy cane up and over shape through the rib cage. Slowly get those noses towards those knees, or at least your nose towards your knees as you flex in half. If that's a really big challenge, just bend your knees and just keep mobilizing through the spine. Anyhow that's available, just take your time, Place the hands and knees on the floor and check in. Nice big breath here, might feel nice. From this position, the hands are screwed in, just like Lauren said in the warm-up, and the tailbone is a gentle cow shape. Push the floor forward and pull the knees off the ground and hold. Feel that compression of the femur heads in the hips to strengthen your core. Then return the knees to the floor. Take a stride. So I'll take my left hand and lift my right knee and then place it down so I'm in a staggered stance. Lift the same way. Push the floor forward with the hands, pull the knees into the hip sockets, and hold. Don't forget that bowl of punch on your back, and don't spill a drop. Return the knees to the floor. Take the opposite stride, so it's my right hand and left knee. I'm in a stagger. I'll push my hands forward. I'll lift my knees off the floor and hold for 3, 2, return to the ground. Take the stagger stance. Lift away from the floor. Now, with a bowl of punch on your back, could you take a stance, or a stride rather, forward, and then continue? If this is a big challenge, I'll regress towards just knees and hands on the floor, working through our crawl pattern, and Lauren there is hovering the knees away from the ground. If forward was a nice challenge, and whether room or ability permits, take some strides walking backwards, press the knees down and rest where you need. Drive the action of the shoulder through the hands, so that finger flick, absorb fingertips, flick, other stride. Do that once or twice more. Be careful of your surroundings, of course. And then let's get the tailbone tipped like our cow. Push forward that we're in our gentle down dog. And as allowed here, walk your feet towards your hands. Your spine will flex, and that's okay if it is. And then let's candy cane reverse as we pull the rib cage down. Pull up to nice and tall. And enjoy a little shake. One more move from Lauren there. Maybe let's put it together with a little complete leg bar, utilizing all of those nice rotations we warmed up in those hips. And then, until next week,
Have some
just
coffee.
might be it.
All right, setting up for one last leg bar here. We're going to put it all together, like Ian said, and do a bent leg bar. It's gonna be very exciting. So standing tall on that inside leg, extended hip, meaning butt cheek squeeze. This is nice and flat, and you're not pushing your butt out behind you. Just as we started for the bent leg, let's peel the foot up off the floor. Keep everything level, and we'll slide that foot up to mid-calf, let's call it. Now, I'm going to give you $1 million bill, and you're going to put it behind that knee. Don't let it go. Keep it tight. Let's keep that $1 million bill and slowly extend the hip or reach the foot towards the back wall. Did you let your $1 million bill go? Ribs to hips. Next, we're going to rotate the leg in that external rotation. So the inseam is going to start to show forward, which means the knee's going to go to the side, and the foot will end up underneath of us in that number 4 that we practiced. Hold for a second. Bring that knee through concrete, keeping the $1 million bill all the way back to center. Let's repeat in the same direction. Squeeze it. Keep it bent. Brush it back to parallel. Abs braced. Rotate it open in the socket. Knee comes to the side. Foot comes underneath. Leg comes to center through concrete. Knee stays bent. Brushes underneath you. Now let's reverse it. Knee to the front. Then as we practice, open to number 4. This time it's internal rotation, so we take our foot away. We internally rotate that leg. The ankle will lift. The knee will reach around the back, keeping the $1 million bill, and brush back through center one last time. Insides are tight. Knee to the front. Open to the side. Keep the bill as you slowly spin in the socket. Re-bring those inseams together. Straighten the leg underneath, keeping your quads parallel. And then relax. Shake that out. Yes, re-bring is a word.
Re-bring. I think my drills were easier today, but I hope that they were still strong and challenging. But those hip drills.
Simple, not easy.
Those hip drills, Lauren,
Ever heard that
holy
before?
cow.
All right.
So, at least once.
Same thing, second side. So tall on the standing leg, knee bends and comes to the front of the room. Slides up to about that mid-calf or knee level. $1 million bill, I'm gonna give you 2 this time. I get them if you drop them. Knee opens up to the side, number 4. Hold it. Nope, knee comes back to center. Brushes back behind us. I like going this way first. Brushes back to parallel quads, keep the knee bent. Rotate the leg open in the socket. Feel that bowl of punch hips doesn't move. It's only the leg rotating as the foot comes to the side or the number 4. Close to center. Repeat the same move again. Keep the leg bent, brush it back. Don't bend your standing leg. Ribs to hips. Try not to arch your low back as you rotate the leg open. Knee goes to the side. Ankle will come underneath you. Number 4. Once there, leg pulls through concrete back to center. Knee stays bent, brushes to parallel legs. We'll repeat in the opposite direction. Keep the $2 million bills as your knee comes to the front. Open the leg to the number 4. Knee stays relatively in the same spot as our ankle lifts and the leg rotates in. Hips stayed level as we scoop around to the back. One last time. Core brace, knee to the front. Knee to the side. Nothing moves but the leg rotating in the socket. Ankles lifting, reaching to the back. Underneath you, inseams together. Straighten the leg. Shake it out.
Awesome. Let's clear the space.
Clear the space.
Let's throw one more wrinkle at you if you're interested in it. One more thing, just one more, but also if you've had enough, stick with us till we say goodbye. But thank you very much for being here. We haven't done handstands personally in maybe 3 weeks. We've been focusing on those kettlebell skills, but here, let's just see Lauren do a couple of her favorite entries into her handstand.
I didn't know this was coming.
And if you know what you do on your handstands, join either in this I go, you go pattern, or just watch so that in the coming weeks, you too can progress your skills to enjoy the handstand. This is Lauren's tripod entry, and it's been a while. Those hands, how do they feel after your practice? Ooh, look at that. That's a good one. Growing so tall, her toes are even pointing off of that screen. Own your down as you're allowed. Take your time. And I think that if you were following Lauren and it looked just like that, that's a great place to stop today's practice.
That is.
And I'll try to replicate that. That was so good. Okay.
Just kidding. Ian's turn. Step in handstand is what Ian likes. So that means his hands start off the ground. He uses his leg to flick the floor away and get into that inverted position. We're breathing. Also, what's interesting about our practice is if you practice these basic things like your wrists and keeping your elbows straight, engaging your core, and even your hip mobility, it will help your handstand even though you haven't done it in 3 weeks. We have practiced for many years, so I'm not saying this just happens, but you can keep those skills by just practicing the basics. And I shouldn't say just basics because they deserve so much more than just.
They do. And you deserve so much for being here and showing up. Whether you stick with us through the warm-up and even through the crazy sounds that Lauren likes to make and the crazy jargon terms that I love to share, we appreciate you being here as a YouTuber at large. Please like, please subscribe, please share with your family and friends. And if you're a Patreon supporter, thank you very much for that as well. Sign up on our website for the newsletter. It provides live links to the upcoming week's sessions and practices here.
And Ian's musings.
And my musings, which there are many. There are many.
But you won't get a newsletter that often, don't worry.
Every 2 weeks.
You can get one every hour.
2 weeks.
Anyway, on Tuesday, we start again with our kettlebell class live Tuesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And you can join it anytime in the archive thereafter. We'll be starting our new semester. And then Thursday, we'll be back to the bar, maybe keeping our kettlebell with us, some plies and presses. Stay tuned to that. And then Saturday, we're back here for our body weight practice. In the meantime, go for walks, enjoy the outside. And until next time, take care.
Stay strong.
And we'll train soon.
Have a great day.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.